Global Gallivant, unveiling Malta's mysteries, floating cities, and lost trails. Beneath Malta's picturesque landscapes lie some of the most incredible tales. Imagine an island where setting foot meant you could never leave, or a chapel where a painting spoke, turning silence into faith. There's even a cave that promised immortality to those who stayed. This isn't just a travel narrative. It's a journey through the many stories whispered across Malta and the beauty they've shaped. Did you know Malta is one of the world's smallest countries, traversable in under an hour? Yet, don't let its size deceive you. This tiny island holds ancient secrets, including one older than the pyramids. Picture an ancient temple standing for over 5,000 years. Nestled on Gozo Island, the Guntija temples, made of towering limestone blocks, predate both Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid of Giza. Their advanced construction sparked legends, like one of a giantess building them while nursing a child. Standing before them, the legend almost makes sense. Malta's climate is as unique as its history. It has never snowed here, not even once. Even in the coldest months, the island remains sunny and mild, as if nature granted Malta a perpetual holiday. Despite having no rivers, forests, or natural lakes, the landscape feels vibrant and full of life. And among Malta's beloved locals are its cats, roaming freely across villages, harbors, and historic sites as if they own them. Just off the coast, on the tiny island of Comino, lies the Blue Lagoon, a stretch of water so clear and vibrant it seems unreal. Yet, amidst this serenity, you'll find a red British phone box and a royal post box, relics of British rule blending seamlessly into the limestone streets, adding another layer to Malta's rich history. The Maltese language itself is a testament to the island's diverse cultural influences, mixing Arabic structure, Italian rhythm, and English vocabulary. It's the only Semitic language written in the Latin alphabet, reflecting every culture that has passed through these islands. Comino Island, a small island you can walk across in under an hour, once held the power to decide life or death. This rugged, sun-bleached rock in the Mediterranean, floating between Malta and Gozo, is just 3.5 square kilometers with no towns, no traffic, and only 2 full-time residents. Most people come for the Blue Lagoon, a turquoise paradise that isn't very deep, making the color incredibly vibrant. For a quieter experience, Santa Maria Bay offers the same glowing water with fewer people. The island's dark history includes its use as a plague quarantine station in the 16th and 17th centuries. Ships arriving from foreign ports were stopped offshore, and if anyone on board looked sick, the entire crew was marooned here with no escape, no medicine, and sometimes, no second chance. Today, Comino is a protected nature reserve and bird sanctuary, home to wild herbs, seabirds, and lizards, with a small hotel and a police outpost. Mdina, Malta's ancient hilltop capital, is known as the Silent City. Frozen in time and wrapped in stone walls that have stood for centuries, Mdina has been shaped by Phoenicians, Romans, Arabs, and Normans. Its streets twist and turn like a maze, perfect for confusing invaders and hiding secrets. With no modern storefronts or signs, Mdina feels different from the moment you step through its gates. The city is full of palaces and quiet courtyards, once home to Malta's most powerful families, and has been used as a filming location for Game of Thrones and Assassin's Creed. Mdina is called the Silent City because almost nothing modern is allowed inside. No cars, no traffic, no crowds or clutter. Just stone streets, a few horse-drawn carriages, and an eerie stillness that makes you feel like time stopped moving centuries ago. As night falls, the lanterns glow softly on golden walls, the air cools, and the city goes still, as if you've slipped through history into a place that refuses to change. Gar Lapsi, a hidden bay, looks like something out of a dream. A natural amphitheater carved into golden clay cliffs with a small crescent of sand tucked deep below. The cliffs seem to wrap around the bay like a secret being protected. There are no signs, no boardwalk, no sound but the wind. Just this hidden curve of the coast glowing in the sunlight. The path down is steep and dusty, making you wonder if it's worth the effort. But once you reach the bottom, you're completely alone, with no crowds, no voices, just waves and wind. This is the secret Gar Lapsi keeps. It's not that people don't know about it. It's that most won't go through the effort to get there. And that effort protects the silence, leaving you with pure stillness, clear calm water, and a stretch of sand with no umbrellas, no music, and no one else in sight. Marsak's Loch, a traditional fishing village on Malta's southeast coast, is known for its brightly painted boats called lusus. These boats have eyes painted on the bow, a tradition dating back to the Phoenicians, believed to protect fishermen at sea, help them find their way home, and keep evil away from their nets. Life here moves slowly, with fishermen mending their nets by hand and boats swaying gently in the harbor. On Sundays, the famous waterfront market takes over the village, offering local honey, homemade wine, spices, lace, olives, and more. Gozo Island, just 25 minutes from Malta by ferry, feels like another world. Life moves slower here, with quieter roads, greener air, and wider skies. The island is known for its rugged cliffs, sweeping sea views, and jagged coastlines that seem carved by myth. It was once home to the famous Azure Window, a natural stone arch that collapsed into the sea in 2017. But Gozo still holds other coastal wonders like the Inland Sea and Wied Il Miela. Locals here are known for being warm, proud, and community-driven, with farmers still working the land and fishermen heading out at dawn. Gozo is also home to Calypso's cave, where, according to Homer's Odyssey, the nymph Calypso held Odysseus captive for 7 years, offering him immortality if he stayed. It's just a small cave above the sea, but standing there looking out at the endless water surrounded by silence, you start to understand why the story stuck. It doesn't feel like a myth. It feels like a place that remembers something. And if that's not ancient enough for you, Gozo is also home to the Gantija temples, built more than 5,500 years ago, older than the pyramids of Egypt. Popeye Village, tucked into a cove on Malta's northwest coast, looks like a faded postcard from another era. Built in 1979 as a movie set for the live-action Popeye film starring Robin Williams, it has turned into one of the most unusual attractions in Malta. A part theme park, part open-air museum, part seaside oddity that doesn't take itself too seriously. You can walk through the buildings, climb the rickety porches, even watch actors perform songs or dress up like cartoon characters. It's weird, wonderful, and somehow fits perfectly against the cliffs and turquoise water. Exweni Bay, set along Gozo's northern shoreline, is calm, simple, and surprisingly empty. There's no sand, just flat limestone and shallow water that gently laps against the edge. The cliffs nearby feel ancient and untouched, with fishermen launching small boats from the curve of the bay and locals walking their dogs. The silence here feels almost intentional, but if you start walking along the coast, you'll notice something strange. The rock beneath your feet shifts from natural to patterned, lined, almost like stone tiles arranged by design. These are salt pans carved into the stone and still used today to harvest sea salt the traditional way. Generations of families have worked this same patch of coastline, collecting salt from sun-dried pools in the rock. Wied Il Gusri is a narrow sea canyon that slices deep into the coastline, flanked by steep, pale limestone walls. The water here is unusually clear and calm, glowing in soft blues and silvers when the sun hits just right. But that calm can change fast. On windy days, waves crash deep into the gorge, echoing off the stone, turning stillness into sudden power. When it's quiet, it's a favorite for swimming, snorkeling, and free diving. At the end of the gorge, past the turns and the narrowest stretch, you'll find a tiny hidden pebble beach, completely walled in by cliffs, with no fanfare, no crowds, just this secret pocket of stillness waiting for the few who make it all the way. Valletta, Malta's capital, might look like a city built for beauty, but it was designed for war. From a distance, Valletta glows with color and elegance, with bright balconies, golden limestone, and narrow streets that feel made for wandering. But beneath that charm is a city with a very different purpose. In 1565, Malta was attacked by the Ottoman Empire during the Great Siege, one of the most brutal battles in the island's history. The Knights of St. John defended Malta and won, but just barely. They knew that if the Ottomans came back, they wouldn't survive without a proper stronghold. So, the very next year, in 1566, they began building Valletta from the ground up as a fortified city designed to repel future invasions. Everything about its layout was strategic. A grid street plan, unusual for the time, was used to allow soldiers and air to move quickly and to expose invaders to fire. Massive walls, bastions, and forts like Fort St. Elmo were added to secure the peninsula from every angle. Valletta was a fortress first and a city second. Today, it looks refined and artistic, but most of its buildings were originally built for military and religious use. Over time, Valletta evolved into a cultural hub, a political center, and eventually a UNESCO World Heritage Site, known for its Baroque architecture and dense history. It's also the smallest capital city in the EU, but don't let the size fool you. There's more packed into these streets than entire cities 10 times larger. Tapinu Sanctuary, just outside the quiet village of Garb on Gozo, rises out of the open landscape. No town around it, no crowd, no noise. It's hard to miss. A golden brown basilica standing alone in a wide, windswept valley. The current church was built in the early 1900s. Neo-Romanesque in style, elegant but restrained. But the reason it was built here in this empty valley goes back much further. Ask the locals why it's sacred, and they'll all point back to the same story. In the 1800s, a woman walking past the small chapel heard a voice coming from a painting of the Virgin Mary, asking her to pray. She listened, and soon after, stories of healing, protection, and answered prayers began to spread. That moment transformed the site, turning a quiet hillside into a national place of pilgrimage. Dingley Cliffs, the highest point in Malta, are not impressive for the reason you'd expect. On paper, it sounds like a highlight, 253 meters above sea level, perched on the island's remote western edge, with wide open views of the Mediterranean stretching endlessly ahead. And yes, the view is beautiful, especially when the sun starts to drop and the sea around Filfla, that tiny uninhabited island just offshore, turns silver. But that's not really what stays with you. What surprises most people is the stillness. There's no crowd, no signs telling you where to stand, no shops, no noise, just stone, sea, and air. Nearby, you'll find strange prehistoric cart ruts carved into the rock, reminders that even thousands of years ago, people came this way without fully knowing why. You expect it to be dramatic because of the height, but what makes it powerful is how quiet it is. It doesn't try to impress you, it just leaves you alone with the horizon. Fort Ricasoli, at the mouth of the Grand Harbor, is low, wide, and carved into the limestone coast directly across from Valletta. It doesn't draw crowds, no big signs, no tour buses lined up. But if you look at a map, you'll realize just how massive it is. Built in the late 1600s by the Knights of St. John, its angled bastions and long defensive walls were designed to lock down the harbor and keep enemies at sea. There's nothing decorative about it, just stone, function, and silence. And now it's found a second life on screen, appearing in Gladiator, Assassin's Creed, and Game of Thrones. It's a go-to for ancient cities, fallen empires, and war-torn kingdoms. It looks right, feels right. It doesn't need CGI, it just needs a camera. Bourguiba, on the northern coast of Malta, is part of the larger St. Paul's Bay area. To many, it's just the classic holiday town with bars, cafes, beach clubs, souvenir shops, and a long promenade packed with people at sunset. It's true, Bourguiba is busy, especially in summer. The streets are lined with restaurants and hotels, and the waterfront is always alive with music, conversation, and movement. But spend a little more time here, and it starts to shift. You notice that it's not just tourists. Locals gather here too, especially in the evenings, meeting friends, watching the sea, taking slow walks along the promenade. It's one of the few places in Malta where you'll see locals, expats, and visitors all blending into the same space. Behind one of the hotels, almost hidden from view, are the remains of a prehistoric temple. It's small, quiet, and easy to miss, but it dates back to the Tarxian phase over 4,000 years ago. Most people walk right past it without realizing they're a few steps from Malta's ancient past. Bourguiba isn't just the modern, neon, tourist-facing version of Malta. It's a place where the present is loud, but the past still hums quietly underneath. If you rush through, you'll miss it. But if you slow down, even just for a minute, you'll start to see it differently. Malta is layered, beautiful, and full of stories most people miss. Check out the next video to keep discovering more of our incredible world. And if you enjoyed this one, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.